for someone that is a part of USA Softball, really cares about USA Softball as well. What were your thoughts when you heard the news that Patty Gasso was named the coach?
Woo! Let's go. The USA softball relies a lot on the college game because that is the dominant level in our country. And so it makes sense to have one of the best college coaches. I would say in this decade, in this era right now, she's the best collegiate coach.
I mean, how cool is this one, right? Monica Abbott, one of the most decorated college softball players of all time. Heck, just one of the best softball players of all time. This is really, really cool. Like the video, and for more content such as this, subscribe to the channel as well. But here's more from softball legend Monica Abbott. I am honored to do this interview. This is not college softball royalty. This is just softball royalty. Monica Abbott joins us now. Yep, she's taking a bow here. NCAA record holder in wins, USA Collegiate Softball Player of the Year, played in the Olympics. I could take up 20 minutes just to note all of her accomplishments, but you know who Monica Abbott is. She's got her Tennessee degree right behind her. So I don't know, maybe she'll play Rocky Top at some point. I don't know if you have that played or not.
No, let me cue the playlist.
Yeah. I heard Rocky Top enough times last fall when Tennessee came to Norman for football. Our seats are right by the band, so I got my full fill of Rocky Top, that's for sure. But hey, the Vols are in the news this week once again, and one of the big things with the Vols in the news is Karlyn Pickens. Not only does she get the invite from the Savannah Bananas, but of course she has the pitch that sets the record, fastest pitch ever recorded. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that you once held that record. So
Yes.
for you, how is that, and how much pride do you get from that there is a new record holder and it's a Tennessee Vol?
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, Karlyn Pickens, how incredible, right? 78
Yeah.
miles per hour. That's like
Yeah.
unreal. Like, to me, it's still a little bit like mind-boggling. And I held the record at 77 for 10 plus years until she came along. But honestly, like, my goal ultimately was, when I was going through that process, is my goal was 80. I was throwing 75, 76 pretty consistently. And my goal was like, hey, like, I could hit 80. Like, that's what men's fast pitchers kind of throw at. I was like, why not? Like, let's aim for 80. And then I landed at 77. But Karlyn Pickens, as a collegiate athlete, just a junior, being able to hit 78 miles per hour on the gun, and like, it's just so cool. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. But it's faster than any 110 in baseball, as they say. The fastest baseball pitcher throws 105. Are you kidding me? Like, they're not even close. So 78 miles per hour, it's incredible and so cool to show the growth of women's sports, the growth of female athletes. And when you have the investment in female athletes, what can really come out of them?
100%. And, I cannot wait for this weekend for a lot of reasons. But if you wanted to maybe look at, and this is just my opinion, others may have a different thought, maybe the two frontrunners right now for SEC Pitcher of the Year, I think Karlyn Pickens and Sam Landry might be your 1-2. Pickens won that award a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to ask maybe most softball fans, well, what makes Pickens special?
Mm-hmm.
They'd immediately bring up the velocity that she has. But there's got to be more to it than that. And maybe you have some really good insight to that, Monica. What makes her special other than she can throw, a record-breaking fastball or a rise ball?
Yeah, and the reason people are going to say velocity first is because the average college pitcher only throws 63, right? Only throws 63. And the good college pitchers will throw around 65, 66. Okay? And so she's throwing consistently 10 miles per hour, topping out at 13 miles per hour faster than the general good population of college pitchers. That is why they come up with velocity first. Now, as a pitcher myself, of course, I see things that she does really, really well outside of just her fastball and her velocity. One thing that she does really well is she changes speeds very, very well. which is hard to do because think about trying to change speeds as a top velocity pitcher. If you want your speed 10 to 12, 10 to usually general rule, change up, something off speed, 10, change up, sorry, not off speed. Change up is usually 10 to 15 miles per hour slower. So if she's throwing 75, 78, like she's right at the average college speed, right?
Yeah.
So she's got to be able to take that 20 miles per hour off and and make it look exactly like her fastball, make it look explosive, all the body control, and still be a strike somehow. So sounds a lot harder.
Yeah.
In my head, and I still mind-boggling, but yeah. So she has a great change of speed, and she does a great job of just, I think, leading her team and bringing that energy that the team needs and rallies around her for.
And I'm sure the Tennessee fans recognize this, but going into this weekend, that's the name that you're talking about the most, as well as Sophia Nugent, former Sooner, coming back, which is going to be fun. But what I've tried to tell people, if it's not obvious already, is look, Karlyn Pickens is really good, but Tennessee in the circle is way more than just Karlyn Pickens. I like Marcheco a lot as well. So as you call other SEC softball games and you kind of look across the country, where do you think Tennessee's just entire staff, kind of ranks or matches up across the country? And do you think that maybe they're the best?
Yeah, I think like any staff and any program, they have good games and bad games, and it's managing that, right? Like pitchers, just like hitters, go through like these waves where they're throwing really, really well, and then they kind of go down a little bit, and then they come back. And I think as a staff, Tennessee softball right now is pretty solid. But they're looking for some more consistency, right? Like they've had some losses that probably they've had some losses that should have been wins. Mm-hmm. Bottom line. And whether it's because of one pitch on a home run or whether it's because their defense didn't come through on a play and they lost momentum and weren't able to secure a victory. So they definitely need that mentality on the mound, their entire staff, of like whatever it takes, the whatever it takes mentality, the determination of like, hey, like it's up to me to do my best to get us out of this inning and to get us back into the dugout.
I just love what's happening this weekend. It's going to be 3 incredible crowds, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the Big 12 was a very good conference, but just the feeling around here is just the SEC is just a little bit different. The crowds that opposing fans bring. The South Carolina series was awesome. The Tennessee series is going to be awesome. I just can't wait to be out at Love's Field this weekend. And with that, I just kind of like to ask your general thoughts about what you've seen from this OU team, as well as just kind of a general overview of how you view this matchup between OU and Tennessee this weekend.
For sure. But first, I feel like it's appropriate time to say the SEC, it just means more.
Yes. Hey, we used to laugh at that around here, but I'm like, no, they were right. It means more. Right. The fans care more. There's more money. There's more resources. There's more facilities. Monica, you guys weren't lying about that.
Yeah, it's an invest. The SEC invests, right? Like softball has been thriving in the SEC for several years now, so it makes people want to invest even more. And seeing these big stadiums and crowds, people show up. It's exciting, right? It's fun. I think OU is looking really good. They have a lot of freshmen on their team, some young players trying to fill some big roles. And I think the most impressive piece right now for me is they're consistent on their they're just a little bit consistent. They haven't necessarily had as many great plays that you would have seen from their last graduating class, or all these super clutch big moments, but it seems like they have really good leadership with Pickering and some of their older players, but they're also finding ways to win. And that is a culture, right? Like winning is a culture and it's an attitude, and honestly, it's addicting, right? Like winning is addicting. And I think what I like about their young core right now is they're coming in knowing that they had big shoes to fill. They're stepping into a big time program, but they're carrying that with pride and accountability. And that's the part I think that is setting them apart, to be able to pull through some of those close games, that those, 7-6s, 9-8s, those just close games that they've had both offensively, coming through in the last month.
You obviously have played a huge role with USA softball over the
Mm-hmm.
years, and everyone here was just so jacked up and excited when Patty Gasso was named head coach. So, for someone that is a part of USA softball, really cares about USA softball as well, what were your thoughts when you heard the news that Patty Gasso was named the coach?
Woo! Let's go. I feel like the USA softball relies a lot on the college game,
Yeah.
because that is the dominant level in our country. And so it makes sense to have one of the best college coaches. I would say in this decade, in this era right now, she's the best collegiate coach, right? Like the consistency she's been able to have, the ability that she's been able to get the most out of her coaching staff, but also out of some players that, like take a Sam Landry, take a Hope Trotwine, like players that were, not trying to sound bad here, but were mid-majors. Like they were mid-major pitchers or mid-major players, come to OU and have turnaround careers, right? Like statement years for OU. So she's definitely doing something right. And if she can do that with some of the best athletes in our country, like, let's go USA. I feel really good about our chances.
Well, I mean, it's just, I can't imagine the feeling of what you and so many other athletes have had with USA softball. Look, I'm sure you have and still have an incredible amount of pride for going out there in the circle with Tennessee across your chest.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you're very proud of. Again, you've got the diploma there in the background. But what is that like, Monica? Because so many people will never get to experience that. Rolling out on the field and you've got USA on the front and you're representing your country. Can you even, maybe you can't put it into words, I don't know, but what does that feel like, being able to represent your country playing softball?
Yeah, I think, when you put on a college jersey, you're representing more, your alumni, you're representing the college fans and the program and the history there. But then you'll go and you'll play in Oklahoma, you'll play in Florida, you'll play Alabama, South Carolina, and they have the same thing. When you're representing USA across your chest, you're representing every conference. You're representing every school's fans. You're representing the 5-year-old playing, and you're representing the 70-year-old that watched their son or daughter, play back in the day. So it's just a different feel of unity and a different amount of like pride and respect for not only what your country means to you, but what it means to be an American, right? Like, and you don't learn that and you don't understand that until you start to see other international countries play the same sport.
Yeah. Well, young athletes growing up watching you play for Team USA, young athletes watching you play for Tennessee and doing the things that you did. There's a lot of young athletes that grew up saying,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the next Monica Abbott, which I'm sure for you is really cool. But who did you grow up? The girl out on the West Coast that was growing up in the state of California, who did you grow up saying, that's kind of who I want to, I don't know, model my game after, but that's who I want to be?
Yeah, it's funny because it's like a different, now
Mm-hmm.
visibility changes everything. Like,
It's
you guys
true.
are going to be on ESPN this weekend. Like, yeah, you can rewatch games on the ESPN app. You can watch games on YouTube. You can see, athletes talking about things on social media. Like, you can see and follow all of that stuff. When I was young, there wasn't really that aspect. So I didn't really have anyone. I didn't have anyone until I was probably in high school that I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, like there's some other pitchers out there that are pretty good. Let me check them out. Who is this Lisa Fernandez? Who is this Michelle Granger? Like, who is this Michelle Smith? And it's not until like late high school when things started to come about with the Olympic Games and visibility that my generation was really able to see who those athletes were.
Yeah, that's a great point. The accessibility of this sport is so awesome. I mean, every single OU softball game right now, you can find it on, ESPN Plus, SEC Network Plus. Heck, the fall games are broadcasted.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Kentucky might play a fall game, and you're able to find that. So the accessibility is in a great place. And what I normally ask people is, okay, the sport has grown, but what can happen or what needs to happen to take it over the top even more? But I'm going to ask you kind of a different question. The sport has grown. The ratings from the Women's College World Series have been fantastic now for several years. Why, Monica? Why has the sport grown as much as it has over the course of the past 5 years or even the past decade? What has softball really gotten right?
Investment.
Mm-hmm.
Investment. People started investing. It took the first people, you know, here's an OU thing, and 2000 and I forget the year, 2015 or 16, I signed the first $1 million contract for a professional athlete on a team sport. Okay. That next, fall or whatever, Patty Gasso signed the largest contract for OU sports, and it was $1 million. It was $1 million or something. Yep. And my question was like, she's been winning. Why? She's only now is she getting this contract? So I think the investment in it, and when you invest not only money, but you invest time, you invest effort into these women's sports, and into a sport that has a vibrant fan base, right? Like, we have a vibrant fan base in softball that are going to follow the athletes. They are going to comment to the athletes. They are going to be at every game wanting autographs. They are going to show up to meet and greets. We have a vibrant fan base in the sport of softball, and they just crave the information. They crave the knowledge, and they're going to show up. And when you invest not only money, but time into these programs, they're going to multiply it, right? They're going to multiply it. I think you see that with Love's Stadium, right? Like, you had a decent stadium before, but now they have this incredible stadium, right? And you guys are still selling it out, still getting a huge amount of fans. That's incredible. And it sets the standard. So as we continue to raise the standard, I think the growth of the sport is going to be huge. I mean, when you have 4,000 people showing up to games on a random Saturday in March, or 5,000 people, all of a sudden people are going to think, hey, why didn't I go? I'm going to go next weekend, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw Oklahoma City build a second deck. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would argue that they didn't build it big enough.
I agree. The ticket prices are still insane.
I would argue they should have done a full bowl. What were they thinking? The second deck wasn't enough. They're going to have to go back and find more money to keep adding. And that right there, I mean, it shows legitimacy in the sport of softball.
You're right about all of that. You know what I think it comes down to as well, Monica? It's just a great product.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You got Jada Coleman out there robbing home run balls. You've got Karlyn Pickens, incredible in the circle. Kiki Malloy, incredibly entertaining, hitting all these home runs. It's fast. You get great defensive plays. You get home runs. You get heart. You get spirit with this game still. And I love collegiate athletics, but certainly things have changed. And what I say to a lot of people, Monica, is just, whether it's the players coming out in the dugout and leading the chants with the fans, I'm just so glad that college softball, even with all the changes in college sports, it still has the heart, it's still about the spirit, and it feels like it's still about we're playing for each other more than anything. So I think that there's a lot of reasons why it's grown, and I just can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my husband and I talk about this quite a bit, is just when we talk about women's sports, what is it that softball is has that gets us glued to it versus I mean, nothing against these other leagues, but a women's WNBA or a women's lacrosse league or all of these. And I think the fact that we are playing on a women's field, right? Our fields aren't the same as baseball, right? It's smaller, it's more intimate. It has that little bit of a hockey feeling. If you've ever been to an NHL game, you're on top of the athletes, and it's right in front of you. You can see the action, and that makes the fans, that makes the excitement, that builds the drama.
Mm-hmm. It's special. It's awesome. I got just two more for you. One, you mentioned some past Oklahoma players, so clearly you follow the program and follow the sport and see
Mhm.
everything. What have been your observations? They've won 4 consecutive national championships. They're a great program, but just kind of over the years, what's been your observation of this OU softball program and here recently as well?
Yeah, I think, well, my pitching heart's going to go straight to Patty Gasso hiring Coach Rocha, right?
Yeah.
I think that was a really big move for her and for the success and longevity of the program, of her taking over the pitching. Um, Gosh, I'm not even sure how long it was ago now, maybe 8 years, maybe 10. But I think that really helped set her program, the OU softball program, in this championship decade that they've been in. Um, I also would say, like, OU, like, they they're gonna make, they make a few mistakes here and there, but they don't necessarily beat themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for the most part, they play clean defense consistently. And for the most part, they don't take pitches off, right? Like, if the ball's a
Yeah.
strike, they swing. For the most part, they go up there with plans. And I think that their hitters are very disciplined, which makes their offense very potent, and I feel like when I think about OU softball program, just in the last several years, I would say their thing is like, I always think of the quote, the best defense is a good offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Well, yeah, losing Melissa Lombardi and then coming back with Jen Rocha, that
Mm-hmm.
was a nice hire there by Patty Gasso. It's worked
Yeah,
out quite well.
great hire.
Yeah. Last one I have, and when I've asked you about Tennessee, I've mainly asked you about what the Vols have in the circle, and that's important, but it's pretty good offense as well. Got a couple hitters hitting over 420 right now. Taylor Panel, she got a lot of home runs. Just kind of what's your thoughts on what the Vols have offensively at this point?
Yeah, I think they've been a little bit up and down offensively. Taylor Panel has definitely been someone that has stood out for them. Savia Morgan has done a great job trying to be the spark plug. She's a slapper, as
Mm-hmm.
more speed based player for them. And then Kinsey Fielder has done a great job, here and there throughout the season. But really, their offense just in my opinion, like, their offense needs some um, continuity. So,
Yeah.
like, and just working together a little bit more. They've been able to put up big scoring games, and then they have trouble scoring games, just like in anyone. I think they are still finding their stride as a team and figuring out what it takes for them to win as a team consistently. So they are going through their rough patches to be able to be a good team at the end of the season.
Well said. She's Monica Abbott, one of the best to absolutely do it. Enjoy the softball this
Yeah.
weekend and can't wait, and our listeners as well, to keep watching you on SEC softball broadcast. You did a great job.
Yeah. Thank you.